I'm spending some time back testing this morning. I really want to spend most of my mornings now, at least 3 to 4 times a week, back testing. So today I'm going to be back testing Australian dollar. It's actually an area that I gave my students last week to back test on. We did a group coaching session, a group back testing session, where we were back testing quality trades versus the quantity of trades that we're taking, and how quality trades can turn into quantity trades, meaning you're just focused on how many trades you're executing versus the quality of the setup. So I'm actually going to redo one of the group's areas for myself. I'm going to back test how many quality trades that I had. So I'm going to take you guys on this journey with me. So let's go to the price charts. This is the Australian dollar, United States dollar. So on the left hand side, I have my daily time frame. You can tell because it's 1D over here. And then on the right hand side, I have my 4-hour time frame. You could tell because it says 4H right here. So one of the first things that I want you guys to know is the type of trader I am. So anytime it comes to you trading, you always want to focus on your trading style first. So I am a swing trader, which means I'm looking at higher time frames, 4-hour, daily, weekly. I'm not so much looking at the monthly this year because sometimes the monthly can be too big of a range to look at. So I'm only focused on 3 time frames for right now at a time. But for back testing purposes right now, it's only the daily and the 4-hour time frame. So I'm going to put those 2 time frames together. So that's first. My trading style is swing. I'm holding trades for more than 24 hours if possible. Now, the second thing I'm going to focus on is trend because I am primarily a trend trader. So what I'm back testing is the efficiency of how good of quality setups I can get into that are trend continuation trades. And then if I'm going to be following my rules. So my rules are pretty simple. I don't have hard rules. I don't teach hard rules. The rule is 1, price has to be trending. 2, price needs to pull back to where I want to enter. 3, I set my targets, but I have to enter based on price action first. But at least I need to know my targets, okay? So let's go ahead and let's get into the session. So these are the same areas, right? As y'all can see here on the, let's start with the daily because the daily and the 4-hour are going to be the same area. As y'all can see, my crosshairs are literally the same places. So we can see that price went up and then it ends up going down. But it's not just that price went up and went down. It's what happened when price went up. It's what happened when price went down. And so I can see as a collective here, this was the last lower low, okay? So daily lower low. And then this was the last daily lower high. And the reason why this was the last daily lower high is because price right here at this wick, and you can see it better on the 4-hour, price came and made a lower low at 0.74639. So same area. Why is this important though, how I'm saying it? One of the things that I recognize that a lot of traders do is, and this is you, if this is you, this is okay because you can get out of it. They say, well, price is doing things differently on different time frames. No, it's not. If you guys look here on the daily, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candlesticks, this is a whole week worth of trading. Price did it over here too. On the 4-hour, the only difference is that you see more of the fluctuations, you see more candlesticks. But remember, the 4-hour time frame forms first, which means you see candle by candle by candle before you see these big daily candles. So it takes a lower time frame to create the higher time frame. So time frames are not doing anything different. Some people say, well, price can be going in an uptrend where price on one time frame, where price on another time frame can be going in a downtrend. Once again, it's not true. Those are your trend cycles. You have to understand the cycle you're in. Price was decreasing on both time frames. As you guys can see, price was dropping. And we have a low. And then we had a lower high and then a lower low. So that's being made now. So here's the cycle. The price is in a downtrend. We can tell because of the lower low. The pullback is called a retracement cycle. So to some people on a 4-hour, if you look at prices going up, some people will say, well, Shaquan, that's the uptrend. Technically, because of the higher time frame, this is actually a pullback. We'll get into that more. And now this is trend continuation going down. But nonetheless, now the focus is on where do we enter the trade. And I want you guys to back test this with me as if you're trading yourself. So for me, I need price to actually stay below the lower high, okay? Here at 0.76165, but I don't want price to touch that number. So I'm going to place my zone where I believe I want price to stay below. This is my market structure. I'm the supply and demand person, so I trade supply and demand only for the most part. Here, I want you guys to say, well, if this was my chart, this is where I would enter the trade. So focus on that yourself and let's see how these compare. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place my zone. Okay, so I have my area where I want price to come and enter. Keep in mind, the exchange rate is on here to say where I don't want price to go, 0.76165, especially because we just got a new lower low. Now, I don't know how low price can go. That's not my business until price reaches my zone. So let's see on the 4 hour and the daily. Let's do the 4 hour first. Let's just see when we start to get the pullback. So we're starting to get the pullback here on the 4 hour. Cool. So it's coming towards my zone. Let's play the daily time frame. All right. So this long big move is this long bullish candle. So this lets me know, Shaquan, you could have a trade soon, right? Now, I am not counter trend trading this. I'm not trading this back up to the zone. I'm not here to test counters today. I'm here to test trend continuation. So I need to see what it looks like when price comes back here. So let's go back to the 4 hour because that's what is going to print first. And let's see how price moves. Okay, so we're finally back at my zone. There we go. So even though I can see what happened here, my primary focus is here. Here's the reason why this is my primary focus. The reason why this is my primary focus is because I am going to want to enter on the 4 hour time frame. But I need to know how it looks when I enter that trade, right? So here's where rules come into play. Number one, we look at the trend is down. We have a lower low here, a new lower low at 0.74443, okay? Which means when I look to trade this, I now have a take profit. I now know where price can potentially go because of the downtrend. So that's great. Price is at my zone, which no matter what structure you're trading, it could be support and resistance, it can be a trend line, it could be whatever you need it to be, as long as you say price touches this, because what you plot is where you want price to touch so you can try to enter the trade. So now that it's touching, great. Now I need a candlestick to tell me to enter. I have a beautiful hammer here. Now, what I'm going to also mention is the time that this hammer formed, this inverted hammer formed, which is at 5 o'clock a.m. If you guys look down here on my price scale, y'all can see 1 o'clock. That's the time the candle opened. But the time the candle closed is 5 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time. Now, I'm normally up by 4:30 and looking for my first trade at 5 o'clock a.m. So I could enter this trade. That's another thing that you want to do, like when you're back testing. Focus on the times and be realistic. Would I have been here to enter the trade? Would I not have been here to enter the trade? What could I have done to enter the trade? Or this is a trade that would just pass me by. I think sometimes we miss that and we try to think that, oh, we can enter this and this and this. That's fine, but that's not a setup you could realistically take if it wasn't within your availability. This is within my availability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a short position tool and my take profit is going back down to the low. Now, if you were to trade this, I want you to scout out as well. Where would you take your trade to? What would your take profit be? What would your stop loss be? Now, normally I use Fibonacci. So I'll use a field to scout out my stop loss. So I only have 2 reasons to use a Fibonacci. 1 is my stop loss. 2 is my second take profit. As far as like zone rejection and all that is fine, but I don't primarily use a field for my entry. That's where structure comes into play. That's where my original foundation comes into play. So I'm going to put my stop loss probably 10 pips above the high. Okay. Take profit, and I'm going to do 2 trades here for my second take profit. So I'm going to actually, let's do 2 trades. Now, the reason why I'm going to do 2 trades, you guys, number 1 is testing the effectiveness of taking 2 trade entries. And then the second one that I'm going to do is, if we say price is in a downtrend, what we mean is price could create a new lower low. So that's what I'm going to be focused on right now. So let's see how this one plays out. Let's see what this one does. Okay, we have a nice, beautiful drop. She's pulling back. Now, I'm not looking for another entry right now because I'm already in 2. All right. So now we have a new lower low. Price just hit first targets. And let's talk about the risk to reward on here. It was a 2.84 on this position, risking 47 pips to gain 135. This is June 6th. It took a day, or actually 2 days at the same time, actually. So 48 hours for price to hit the first take profit, and the second one will still be running. So this was a really good trade that was achieved. So that one will be out. We're out of that one. Now the second one is still running. So now let's talk about managing the position, because even how I backtest, I like to backtest the way I would trade. I can move this trade to break even, or I can wait for price to pull back. And so what I'm going to do, let's test the effectiveness of moving the trade to break even, which means I'm just going to move this to my entry point, risk-free trade. The stop loss will be risk-free. So now we have a new low. So let's see what it looks like on a daily. All right, so now we're here on the daily. So now we have a new low here. So once again, this is the same area. The 4-hour creates the daily time frame. Same. This is trend continuation to the downside. So this was a pullback back up. That's a pullback cycle, not an uptrend. This is a pullback cycle that went back into trend continuation cycle to the downside. So we're in a downtrend overall. There are 2 cycles that creates trends, and these are the trends that you have to remember over and over and over. Okay, reversal is not a part of those 2 cycles of the downtrend. That's a trend switcher. So now what I'm looking for, now that we have a new lower low, let's see when we start to get the pullback here on the 4-hour. So price is continuing. Okay, so we're starting to pull back just a little bit. So this is the time where now on my daily, I'm going to scout out where I want to enter my next trade setup. You can start to scout this out as well too, where you want to enter. Now, some of you guys may ask, well, do you analyze the 4-hour as well for your entry? I do both, but right now I'm just going to do one. Okay, so on the 4-hour and on the daily, I can see that we have a new lower low here at 0.75992. And I'm praying that you guys can see how price does the same thing on each time frame. So once again, if you've been telling yourself that price moves differently, prayerfully this is helping you. Now, I've taught so many traders over the past 3 years, going on 4. And the one thing that I find consistent is a few things. One, most of you guys, or most traders who I talk to, you may feel like you have a hard time entering a trade, or you don't know where to enter, or you don't know where to place to take profit, or stop loss. If that is the case, here's a few areas of opportunities. Number one, like I said earlier, understand who you are. Are you the day trader? Are you the scalper? Are you the swing trader? Because it's all based on your time availability and your focus. Notice how I've not mentioned a time session, but I did mention if I'm available to take a trade at a certain time. Because now I'm focusing on my life schedule, which you should be as well too. You don't want to become overwhelmed trying to place a trade just because you want to in a time session. The time session may not align with your life schedule. The second thing you really want to be focused on is where you can enter a trade first. So that encompasses a few things. Entering the trade should be the last thing you think about, but the first thing you scout out. So you have to do this in steps. 1, trend. Who has the control? You can't buy or sell if you don't know where price is going, the direction. Secondly, is understanding where you want to enter the trade. There's no entry without an area, and there's no entry without your foundation. What are you actually using? I'm using a zone. I call this my estimation zone. I only teach estimation zones because we need to estimate what price can pull back to so we can enter that trade. The pullbacks are probably one of the most important parts of the trend because pullbacks give you better discounts to enter trades at. Okay, remember, we buy low and we sell high. Now, the third thing you always want to wait for is once price reach your area that you want to enter the trade is you let it give you permission to enter the trade. And if it can give you permission, by then you will already know where you want to take profit because it's already going to be on your chart. So if this confuses you, listen to the next part of how I'm about to get into the next trade if it gives me an opportunity. So listen to this. So now that price is pulling back on my 4-hour, now my daily, and I've not played this forward just yet, I want to scout out where I would want to enter the trade. So the process for me is always the same. I'm not changing the strategy. I'm not adding to it. I'm not adding a trend line. I'm not adding anything at this moment. I just need to know where I could enter the trade. But this has to come with questions. 1, the trend. Are we still downtrend? Yes. 2, where do I not want price to go? Now, because I have a new lower high, don't want price to pass this new lower high. We trade exchange rates, or we trade based on exchange rates. And if that is the case, you have to follow where price is going. I'm not going to go to the left to find the information because price moves to the right. So I just need to stay below this one key number. If it can do that, I can stay in a sell. So I'm going to place my estimation zone again. Now that I have my zone scattered out to where I want to enter the trade, now keep in mind, because I don't want price to touch 0.75992, my zone has to go below this number. My market structure has to go below that number. So now that I have that, and now that price is pulling back into that zone, this is now where I can say, okay, I have an opportunity for a trade setup. So now I'm going to play the daily time frame forward. As you can see, this pullback, we're back up into here. So I can say this is potentially my new lower low. Now, when it comes to trading, you have to be patient enough to let price move. It has to form. Yeah, there are so many currency pairs out here that if you don't have patience, especially whether you're trading 1, 2, 3, or 4, you have to let the trade set up. But if you don't have patience, you'll be putting everything on your chart, every indicator, just to say you have a setup. But if you keep your chart clean and simple, and you focus on the entry area and the direction, the one direction you want to trade, and the range that you're trading, my range is from the daily to the 4-hour, you guys will be, you'll think clearly, okay? You'll think clearly, you'll have clarity, and your trading will be simplified. This is what edge means, having an edge over the market, not being overwhelmed in the market. So let's continue. Now I still have this one position running, is break even. That is great. But now the main area where I want to enter is here. I'm not looking for a buy because price is not in an uptrend. But what I am looking for is something that tells me Shaquan sell. So let's play the 4-hour out. All right, so if you guys can see here, price created a beautiful inverted hammer and then another beautiful inverted hammer. And this one formed at 9 o'clock p.m. Now, 9 o'clock p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays is technically when I'll meet with my coaching group and we'll look at trades together and we'll see if there's something we can enter in at that time or the following morning. So this will be a setup that I will actually take with them. So I am going to actually take this setup. So what I'm going to do is place my fib once again because I want to know where I'm going to exit my second target. And I want to know where I'm going to place my stop losses. So my first take profit is always the same. I don't change that. So we're going back down to the low. And let's see if I can even take this trade if it'll be more than a 1-to-1. So we're rejecting the 38.2. So my stops is going to go to the 61.8. As you guys can see, my risk to reward is a 1.56. So I can take that trade and I'm going to move this position over. So I can take this position and I can take another trade because once again, when price is in a downtrend, you are saying that price can make a potential new lower low. Now, some of you may even ask, Shaquan, how do you know price is going to do any of this? I don't. You don't. No one knows. But I forecasted what I would like to happen. I forecasted what I would need to see what price could do. These are quality setups because I've tested these multiple of times. I understand what happens if I lose the trade. I'm assessing my risk. I'm making sure I have more than a 1-to-1 risk to reward. I'm making sure I'm following the same steps. In trading, you become, it becomes routine. I don't want to say you become a robot, but it's kind of like you do. But it becomes a system. And if you keep trading the same system and you tweak it as you go, not changing the full system, you'll understand when your bias changes. You'll understand when you need to sit on your hands. You'll be able to pick quality setups. It's not based on how many pairs that you're trading. It's not based on how many setups you're trading. It's literally based on if your rules are being met. And as you guys can see, mine are actually being met. So let's continue to go forward with this. Right now, I've had my take profit. I have my stop loss, but price had to continue to go forward in order for me to understand what I wanted to do. I have my entry area, keeping it simple. So let's go forward now. All right, so we're back here at my zone, which is fine. We're not out of the position. Now, at this point in time, some of you guys may, especially when price can't pull it back, you may become paralyzed. You may want to get out of the trade. You may become frantic. The best thing you can do in trading is hold on and not move. The best thing you can do in trading is remember where you didn't want price to go. I don't want price to pass 0.75992, which means there's a range that price could move between. But as long as price can stay within this range and it doesn't stop me out, I'm still in the trade. I'm not moving. Uh-oh, didn't mean to play that one for, but that's okay. All right, and so we're almost out. There we go. So we're out of the first trade, the 1.56, and we're out of the other trade that we took earlier. So that was the first setup. Okay, so I'm out of these two positions. So now I'm going to play this one for the daily just a little bit to see what happened. So as y'all can see, price kind of consolidated here, but price is still in a downtrend. That's the thing. Price is still trending down. And I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way since we have everything still set up. So now when I look at it, since we have a new low, this is now the new lower high. And you can see the same thing on the daily time frame. So once again, price is doing the same thing on every time frame. It's just you see more fluctuations on the 4 hour. You see less candles on the daily time frame. And, you know, price is just moving consistently together. So let's see what's going to continue to happen. Okay, now I'm out of this position too. This risk reward was 2.68. Now I'm out of this one. And let's do one more together. So now that I have a new lower high at 0.75035, and we're going to go ahead and name it. Notice how as price is going, I'm focusing more on my daily lower highs. And one of the reasons is because I'm expecting price to continue to make a lower low until price just reverses altogether. And until price reverses, until it passes my last lower high, I'm not looking for a buy. I don't care for a buy. But what I do know is, and let's play the next candle on the daily, what I do know is you have to have patience. So here's where the next patient part comes in at. We have a tight range here. I want to see if price can pull back to this range. So I'm going to go ahead and set my estimation zone. All right, so I have my estimation zone to where I want price to pull back so I can have an entry. Now, I'm going to say this now. This zone no longer matters. This zone no longer matters. This lower high doesn't matter. This lower high doesn't matter. This lower low doesn't matter. This lower low doesn't matter. The only three things that matters is this new lower low, because we're now expecting a pullback, this lower high in this zone. That is it. Nothing else matters. Now, the reason why nothing else matters is because I'm trading to the right. Price is moving to the right. These are the current sellers. Price is in a downtrend. There's no need for me to go looking to the left when I have all the clues I need right here. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to play the 4 hour forward. And let's see what's going to happen, okay? So I need to pull back to my zone. I don't care about anything else until price gets there. All right, so we're starting to get this pullback. Let's look on a daily and let's line this up. So price drops, price keeps decreasing. Now we're having an increase. So it could be safe to say, because we have a hammer and it's also a bullish engulfing candle, that price could be getting ready to pull back to my zone. I just needed to touch my zone. So, and I needed to stay below 0.75035. So let's see what happens. Now she's consolidating, doing a lot of tricky things in this area. Doesn't concern me. Minding my own business. Living my life until she reaches that zone. Okay. She's almost there. All right. So she touches the zone on this bearish engulfing candle. So let's get this caught up. Now, I know some of you guys are probably going to ask, and this is crazy because this is like these two candles line up perfectly. So some of y'all may ask, well, Shaquan, would you have tried to trade any of this? No, I'm not a counter trend trader, number one. Number two, this was a lot in this area. So this is a full pullback. This whole area is a pullback because price is still in a downtrend, because this is still our last lower low. Price is not past that lower low. That's your last low. And so all of this, no, it's too tricky. It's just too tricky. So I probably honestly would have sat on my hands. Now maybe counter trended back up here, but it would have had to been a dang on good counter. But this is stop out central if you're not careful, okay? But now that price has given me a bearish engulfing candle off of my zone, I'm going to want to enter. And this closed at 1 o'clock p.m. It opened at 9 o'clock a.m., closed at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm available, right? I mean, I work from home. I coach from home. I'm fine. I'm available. So I am actually going to enter this trade. I am going to use my Fibonacci for my stop loss. Okay, let me make this show on the daily. All right. And so let's see if I can get a 1-to-1. So my stop loss will go here. Let's see if the first position I have a 1-to-1. I don't have a 1-to-1. So then that means that I need to go down to my -27. Did not mean to move that. So I need to go down to my -27. And let's see if I can get profits taken. So this is 1.48 risk to reward. I'm going to take the setup. So I can only take one setup here, which is fine. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play this full thing forward. Let's see if we get there fast. All right. So we're moving down. I'm going to play the daily with it. Right. Let's continue to play the daily with this so y'all can see it. And there we go. We hit take profit. Okay. So we had quality setups. All right. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5 quality setups. And they all went the good way. Like they all went down. Now, once again, I wasn't looking for counters. Counters, I don't think would have been successful from the daily to the 4-hour, to be honest, especially with how I set my stop losses and my take profit. I don't think I would have had a 1-to-1, to be honest with you, with how I trade most of mine. And so, but that's not what I was looking for. As far as trend continuation goes, as far as these being quality setups, these were darn good quality supply and demand setups, but based on how I trade. Not looking to the left, not looking for a look to the left, structure leaves clues, but continuing to trade to the right based on the lower highs, based on sellers only. Supply and demand once again. Now, if you're a person, you're watching this and you compare how you would trade, did you do good? Yes or no? Like, was this, did you have good setups? Yes or no? Did you understand what was going on? Yes or no? If you're like, Shaquan, I want to trade exactly how you just did this. And you guys, book a consultation call with me and let's talk. Let's see if you're a person who wants to be a swing trader. You're a person who wants to trade from higher time frames. You're a person who maybe you're too busy to look at lower time frames and you feel like this could be a breath of fresh air and you want me to personally teach you 101 and then coming into the group coaching program where you could take trades with me. You can learn from me every single week and you can even back test with me like this live as we do this, and you can be in my live trade room at the same time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If this is you, click below, get into the group coaching program with me, learn from me 101 also, and I will see you in the next video or inside of our free discovery call. Have a blessed day.